Soccer has taken over Philly, and when the World Cup rolls out, the party doesn't stop because we have professional soccer right here. The Philadelphia Union returned to play to host rivals Red Bull New York on July 22nd. If you've never seen a match, now's your chance with the first match on us. If you have seen a game, enter today to win VIP tickets to watch Inter Miami take on the Philadelphia Union when Lionel Messi comes to town on August 18th. Register for both at philaunion.co/citycast. Hey, before we get into today's conversation, I have a favor to ask you. CityCast is doing our annual listener survey, and it would really help us out if you took it. This is our chance to learn a little bit more about you and what you want from CityCast so we can serve you and Philly better. If you took it last year, thank you for doing that, but we need some new data. So head over to citycast.fm/survey to take the survey. It's only 7 minutes long. And when you take the survey, you'll be eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card and some CityCast Philly swag. So head over to citycast.fm/survey. Thanks so much. All right, now let's get into the show. We've got an exclusive. Philly is getting a new museum all about us. That's right. The Museum of the Philadelphian is coming to Fishtown this fall, and we're getting a quick preview before the doors open. I'm sitting down with Brian Adolph, the creative curator behind this project, to talk about why he's creating a museum about the people of the city, what sorts of artifacts are going to be displayed, and whether this new place is just going to slap a bunch of cheesesteaks, hoagies, and the word John all over the place. Dear God, I hope not. It's Monday, July 20th. I'm Jordana Ree, and here's what Philly's talking about.
So this fall, I'm opening the Museum of the Philadelphian, which is a 6-week pop-up micro-museum. It's in a 400 square feet storefront space, which I'm currently in. I don't know if you're watching behind me. There's a little sneak peek of one of the exhibits. And this is really a museum about Philadelphian, the people, not necessarily the place. It takes everything that the rest of the world says about us, the booing, the throwing of batteries, the greased poles, and it catalogs it with the full seriousness it deserves. So visitors will come to this little museum. They'll stand inches from artifacts of Philadelphian behavior, and there's a gift shop.
Philadelphian behavior. I like that. So you mentioned throwing of the batteries, and that is reference to allegedly, because it was either between, is it batteries or is it snowballs at
it's all of it, Trinae.
Franklin Field during like an Eagles game when it was like snowing.
Yeah, so that's conflating all different stories, and that's why this is important. So it's not a joke. It's dead serious. This is a very real museum with, all real vitrines and cases and displays. So this is as much a museum as anything, but it puts on display this reputation we have and this behavior. And underneath that, the history of that. But that's not all. That's where it starts. But in this little space, there is a narrative.
Yeah, so give us a tour around the place.
Sure. Oh, you're gonna have to come to see it. Right now it's empty.
Yes.
And a little echoey, so I apologize. But what you're gonna come here is you're gonna see the things like, for example, you might remember the death of Hitchbot. So there might be an exhibit about Hitchbot, but there's then the stories underneath them.
And let me interject what that is for new Philadelphians or people that their memory has gotten the best of them. Hitchbot was this robot that was traveling around, I believe, the country. It made a stop in Philly, and some Philadelphians tore that thing up.
That is correct. Now, there is an interesting note about that. That went viral and was around the country that Philly killed Hitchbot, but there is a conspiracy about who did that. And underlying the disgraceful behavior of Philadelphians is the story that people raise money. A group tried to say, we'll rebuild it. And that's kind of the actual point of this museum, even though it started not this way. And I realized, oh, this falls in line with all the other work I do, where underneath this behavior, there's the story of people who are known to be kind but not nice. We're incredibly loyal, we're prideful, and we do take care of one another. So there, as I told you, half this museum is about the behavior, and the other half is how we're actually great people, and we should be proud of that. So this museum is for the lifelong Philadelphian to kind of remember, get a little nostalgia, remember these things, and to be seen. But it's also for transplants and new residents to Philadelphia. I was talking to my friend and telling her all these exhibits. She's been here for 2 years. She loves Philly. She didn't know anything I was talking about. I'm like, oh my God, you moved here, you love Philly, and you have all this baggage that you don't know about. You have this reputation. So this is more, now it's an initiation. So if you move here, you need to come to this museum to get your orientation of what it's like to be a Philadelphian. Then it's also for out-of-town visitors to come and maybe be slightly appalled, but then also jealous that they don't live here.
Well, it's not just baggage, because you plan to highlight sort of like two truths are happening at once. We're funny, but we're also heroic. You're going to have an exhibit or something talking about the ice cream eating crossing guard, right?
Have not gotten consent yet from him, but yes, there is a night. Yes, we do have a planned exhibit of essentially our folk heroes of Philadelphia and the people that truly make up Philadelphia, getting back to the not asking permission and just doing things that you go only in Philadelphia.
Right, like Elmo and the Drumline, who will show
Exactly.
up when there is like a junkyard fire, but like they're playing snare drums. Then you have like Philly Jesus, who is a person dressed in like a white robe with long hair that will show up dancing sometimes at protests or block parties. And do you remember Chicken Man?
Oh, I do remember Chicken Man.
The man who ate 40 rotisserie chickens for like 40 days and 40 nights or something like that.
Yeah, he's a true folk hero, because really at the end of the day, what he did was he brought hundreds of people to watch him eat his 40th chicken. And it doesn't get any more Philadelphia than that. And like I said, it goes back to how do we bring people together to have fun, to be joyful, to experience community in a way that is very Philadelphia. The museum itself is an example of this concept of doing something silly and not asking for permission, but at heart, it's very serious. I'm dumping a lot of money into this to make this a real thing. And it's funny listening to people with opinions and who belongs and who doesn't. And it is way too small of a space, but maybe this becomes a real thing, and we actually highlight real heroes, and not that the Chicken Man isn't, but the people that really make Philadelphia, because there isn't a museum like that of the people and the culture. So now I'm getting pushed to do that. I was like, guys, it's only 400 square feet. There's only so much I can do.
So Brian, how do you decide what gets displayed?
Well, I have a large curatorial team, very, very intense sessions over months and months to decide this. And everyone's just going to have to come and find out to see what's in it.
This micro museum, 400 square feet, is going to be in Fishtown. Why Fishtown?
Because this space is where my office was, which is 2 blocks from my house. It's a storefront space on Girard and Palmer. And I was actually wanted to get out of this spot. It wasn't working out, and I was about to leave it and get my lease taken over. This was a few Sundays ago, and I went, no, instead I'm going to make it the Museum of the Philadelphian. Although honestly, I spent 3 hours trying to figure the name out, and complete pivot, and now that's why this is here. Which I had an empty storefront. How could I not do this?
The Museum of the Philadelphian. I love it. Why are you the guy to be heading this initiative?
That's the most Philadelphian question with the most Philadelphian answer. If not me, who else? Why the hell not?
Is this a labor of love? Is this has this turned out to be more of an actual burden in your life? How are you feeling right now?
Never a burden. And of course, the museum is free admission because God forbid I make money on anything.
But how do you know that you're getting this right?
Well, if you have to ask that question, that's the kind of question that stops people from doing great things. Not that this is great, but it really, really is. I mean, of course I questioned, are these things right? But it was just a motivation. I had an instinct, and I said, we don't have this. The city needs this. In the same way that I'm sure rotisserie chicken guy was like, do I do 39 chickens? Do I do 41? How do I know 40 is right? I don't know.
What are the best things about Philadelphians?
So the best things are probably the reason why I'm doing this whole new project I'm doing, because as you know, and everyone listening, that we are such a great, wonderful people. Although there tends to be a reputation about our behavior.
What? Say what?
Exactly. The best thing about Philadelphians is we don't ask for permission, and we just go and we do cool shit. And at the heart of all of it, we do take care of one another, and we're great people.
Brian, is that why you're doing this project?
Sure. So you may remember me from being on the podcast earlier. I started Join Philly and produced the Activities Fair, which we did in partnership with CityCast Philly, of which over 2,300 Philadelphians came to and found real world connection, real world community. By joining clubs and groups.
And this was back in April. We were at the Philadelphia Ethical Society in Rittenhouse. There were tables set up all around the building and even outside the building where folks got to learn about organizations and clubs that they can join and participate in Philly.
Exactly. And it's a passion project of mine about getting people together in real life. So I did Join Philly. It lives under my studio called Architects of Human Connection. And everything I make is really about the same thing. It's getting people to show up for each other in person. So now while I'm doing something kind of a little bit out of left field or silly, it's still all related.
No one likes us and we don't care. I've often been thinking about my experience as a Philadelphian in a sense of like growing up in the Northeast and how I experienced Philadelphia. Then there was the teenage version of me, like traveling on the L and going down to South Street when it, was popping at the time, eating cheesesteaks and things like that. And then I think about my young adult life, going to college at Temple University, traveling around the city, learning my place, and my responsibility as a Philadelphian. And even now, who am I as a Philadelphian as an active voter, someone who's raising children, someone who gets to talk about the city for my full-time job. And so I'm wondering, Brian, when you are doing Join Philly events, when you are creating the Museum of the Philadelphian, what have you learned about yourself as a Philadelphian in your personal journey?
I guess I need to finish this so I can look back and say, what did I learn from this? But this is just the impulse I've had in producing projects of just see something that needs to happen. For example, Join Philly, that was a need. And now I realize how much more of a drastic need it is. And even doing that Activities Fair opened my eyes, and kind of my crusade around the city right now, it's all the different organizations, is this city doesn't do really anything for resident attraction and retention. If we don't do anything for these residents, for new people that move here that love the city, and if they don't find belonging, which is why I do all the work with Join Philly, and they don't find connection and they don't find friendship, then they'll leave. And then straight economic development story, we lose a taxpayer and a customer and a renter and a potential home buyer. And I get weekly, if not more, emails to the Join Philly website of, I just moved here. I don't have any friends. What do I do? And I'm taking this personal responsibility on myself now to help them. So I see those things, and it's like, okay, that's what drives me. But then this museum is just right up my alley of things I've been doing for years that are kind of silly and funny and snarky, but underneath there's the heart of it. You said no one likes us, we don't care. That's kind of the thesis of this. It's the point. It's just the armor we have and the warmth are all the same impulse. It's a love letter disguised as defiance, essentially.
Okay, let's go back inside the museum. What else are we going to see on the walls in the display cases?
Okay, so I don't want to give it all away. You're definitely gonna want to come. I already mentioned a few, so you'll likely see a recreation of the death of Hitchbot, including the story behind that. I don't know if you can see behind me there. That is the makings of a paper mache greased pole.
Love it.
Which someone will be climbing into the ceiling right there, and you'll be able to see it right from the storefront window. There will also be a can of grease, so people can practice greasing the pole. It's going to have them climbing it too, but then the whole main rule of this museum is for me not to get sued. And then, as we mentioned, the throwing. So there are these specimen cases. So you will learn, see like, oh, that's funny. I kind of remember that, the things we've thrown. But then the history, which is super interesting, of how long have we been throwing things at people, at sports teams we don't like? So diving into the history has been fun. So while, like I said, your visitors get an inch away from these artifacts, this D battery, they will also get to step back and really take in and learn that it's going all the way back to the very beginning, which you will see in the exhibit that's over there off camera. You can't see to answer the question, why are we like this? So that's the goal, is to kind of answer that question. But then, like I said, on the way out, I want people to be inspired to be the best Philadelphian they can. I don't know, did you watch any of the Obama Center opening a couple weeks back?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so did I. And I was like, this is awesome. I was so inspired. And I'm not gonna lie. In my mind, I go, yeah, my museum's gonna be just like the Obama Center. So that's my goal with it.
I love it. Okay. Again, I think we have to break it down for the new Philadelphians coming into town and our guests who come into town. What is a greased pole?
So, like I said, you'll have one here. You can see up close and personal. Which this one will be a Philadelphian in a celebratory motion, as that's what all the exhibit labels are in that. This is a very natural history museum. Post celebration of, for example, the Super Bowl, where Philadelphians climb the poles, cops grease them in an attempt to stop them. And there'll be a panel on the wall. Really, that comes from South Philly, from the grease pole competition they have. So not everyone knows that. Yeah, the Italian Market Festival. So there's a little kind of history behind that.
Brian, I have something actually serious that I need to address with you. Okay. As a curator of Philadelphia lore and history and why we do the things we do, one thing I cannot stand, and I want to know if you're going to address the overuse of the word John.
I took all of the how we speak out of it, because
really?
I don't even want that in the museum.
So you're not going to have water ice?
No, that got cut. A lot of things got cut. All of the how we speak, because it's really more about the behavior and the psychology.
You're not going to have use guys?
No, but there is a participatory element where visitors can get to express their views about being a Philadelphian and or the things that were missed. Yeah, I really ran the gamut of what was going to go in here, about the accent and everything. But honestly, the way I was thinking is anything you'd find in another museum won't be in here. So I'm keeping the hoagies out of it, the Liberty, any Rocky, and anything like that. The overuse of John is something it didn't need in here. So that was kind of the chopping block thing, is anything you see in here, you wouldn't see in any other museum. The idea started with just the culture of Philadelphia. And the first thing I thought of was the AI practice video. If people remember when Allen Iverson just went on about practice, because it's just funny. And then I kind of narrowed it down more.
Practice?
And then I just found, I didn't know this. I don't know if you know this, if you're a Ted Lasso fan, but there's a scene in Ted Lasso where word for word, verbatim, they take that AI speech and Ted Lasso says it. I found that out a couple of days ago, which is hilarious. Yeah, so this is narrowed down to really just about the Philadelphian, and then more so about who we really are. So there's a real heart to this thing now, which you find out on the other side of the museum, which I have not shared yet with you. So you got to come and find out.
Okay, so when we come to find out and when we come to Girard Avenue in Fishtown to check out the museum, what other very Philly things should we be doing? Where should we be eating? What's around the neighborhood?
Well, so this does not hold many people, and it's going to be packed, of course. So I have yet to do this. It's on my list to go to my neighbors and see who wants to work with me to help out with all the new people we're going to bring to Fishtown. I will say, go to visitmotp.com, and you can sign up to get the date when we open, which is going to be in September. And then also, if you sign up, you can get invited to the early hours on opening day. Honestly, I keep pushing the back of the opening because there's new development next to my house. I've had 7 floods in the past 5 weeks. I had to call an attorney. It's been a nightmare. And the basement of this space, not so great. I've had issues, and I did almost pivot. And I want your take. This is a good idea. I was going to cancel this whole thing and just do the Museum of Basement Remediation, because it's all I've been focusing on. And honestly, so many people have so many issues with their basements, and it's really interesting, all the canals underneath Fishtown. So that might be my next project, as a museum all about basements and all the bullshit we have to go through with new development and construction. So stay tuned for that one, maybe in the spring.
I want to go back real quick. You did mention reaching out to your neighbors, which is something I think is very Philadelphian that we do. I want to shout out my neighbor who will, during a snowstorm, will shovel our whole side of the street and put rock salt. Then I thought more about just like neighbors, and I thought about the neighbors on the Miracle of 13th Street during the holidays, when they all have decided to like decorate their homes with lights and displays for the holiday season. I think about our block parties that we have that bring neighbors together. Is there going to be anything about neighbors?
Yeah, you said neighbors so much, it's making me think that CityCast does also have this great neighbors program, which I'm a part of.
Look at you promoting our
I wanted to shout that out. Yeah, you know what's really cool is the point of this museum is that you come in and it's funny and it's a little snarky, but it's also deadpan serious museum. But the goal that I now have is you leave thinking the thing you were just thinking is that, wow, like we do have great neighbors. That person shovels your sidewalk, but though that's kind, but they might not be nice about it. One part of this museum, I'm going to have comments straight off of Reddit from a Reddit thread I found about Philadelphia. And the whole museum is really just that Reddit thread. I don't need any of the other stuff. It's just people and telling true things about Philadelphia. And there's something on there, and I had 2 other people almost verbatim say the same story. It's Philadelphians, if you have a flat tire, they will come over, they will help you with the tire, mostly because you're in their way. They'll call you an asshole for not knowing how to do it yourself, and they will refuse to take any money for their help.
Right.
Yeah. So that is Philadelphia in a nutshell, is that we will do anything for you, but we will make sure you know that you should have been doing it for yourself.
Right. You should have known better, but that's our way of showing love.
I'll just say the slogan that came up that is not going to be on the museum walls necessarily, but it will be on the merch, is "Fuck you, we love you," and that is Philadelphia, and that's the museum. Yeah.
Brian, thank you so much for being on the show, and I also want to say thank you. I love the way that you love Philly.
Ditto.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. I'm excited for this new place. I can't wait for it to open. If you enjoyed this episode about the new museum featuring us, share this with a friend. Also, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter to learn more about what else Philly is talking about. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you then. Bye.